It's all Obi-Wan's fault. He's holding me back!
Yo, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another Yankees Avenue live stream, and this is, of course, a Friday night edition, yo. I found myself earlier, no, I went into today thinking I might stream, but I had especially an itch a couple hours ago. I was like, yo, when was the last time we had a Yankees After Dark? The San Francisco series in May? We're kind of back with that tonight, yo. Not sure what the crowd's going to be like in terms of the live audience, but to those who are in here right now, shout out to you guys. Appreciate you, as always, especially on a night like tonight. Because, yo, I don't know about you guys, but I'm kind of kicking it for a while. So much so to where, we're doing a couple surf sides. By all means, kick back, relax, crack one open yourself, or Coca-Cola, whatever you want to do. The main thing is the week's come to a conclusion. And we got to kick back, chat. We got to kick back. So pleasure having you guys here who are in the live chat and also those later on in replay. What we're going to be doing today is, of course, an impromptu stream. We usually are going Tuesday nights, which, by the way, that's going to be changing soon. Going to figure out a new day of the week until we're on a more consistent basis come the regular season, which is fast approaching. Pitchers and catchers report next week. But as for today's show, I'm sure most of you guys saw, especially if you follow on Instagram, Yankees Avenue, Instagram and Facebook, Brian Cashman was on Yankees Hot Stove last night, and he normally, he's always, and still with this one, and we're going to go through all the clips, quotes. There's a lot that came out of it, and that's what I'm getting at here is, while still very, I won't tip my hand vibes, it was actually an interview of some decent substance, to be honest. So that's what today's impromptu show is all about. We're going to run through, I have 8 clips, most of which that were posted on, again, Instagram, Facebook, Yankees Avenue. But I want to be able to give my take on them all. So we're going to run through them. But again, appreciate you guys being here. Drop a like on the stream if you enjoy. And before we get into that, actually, real quick, do want to discuss this. Jasson Dominguez, officially number 24 after, the 2 years, 89 scrub number, spring training number. And we're going to hear about him from Cashman later, and sounds like left field may not be the definitive position for him just yet, as Aaron Boone mentioned a few weeks ago. But some cool news. I don't know about you guys, but I got into the whole number thing, and 24s, especially in my time watching, because of course, I grew up watching Robbie Cano, and then most recently Alex Verdugo last year. But 24 is a pretty big number with the Yankees. Now it seems like Jasson Dominguez will be donning that instead of the hideous and gross, disgusting 89, which we all knew at some point he would be ditching that. I will say, when I posted on Instagram, people are like, not people, I shouldn't say as in it's a general thought, but there were a couple guys saying, yo, I was hoping he would stick with 89, or rip those who got an 89 jersey. I mean, I don't want to say natural selection, but if you got a fucking 89 jersey, assuming Jasson Dominguez was keeping that, it's kind of on you, but no hard feelings, bro. I feel you. We're all homies here, and then we're kicking it tonight, chat. Again, kick back, relax. Let's get into it. And speaking of Jasson, this is first thing that I saw out of the Cashman interview last night, and it is quite interesting because remember, a few weeks ago, Boone said, and to my disagreement, and I just think this is totally the wrong way to go, Boone said they're going to start Jasson in left field rather than center. Now, real quick to recap why I think that's silly is because, one, the struggles Jasson had last year in left field. Small sample size, granted, but more so because of this. His natural position is center field. He would then have Judge and Bellinger surrounding him in the corners. Sounds pretty good. And not to mention, left field in Yankee Stadium is effing huge. It's a tougher position to play. So, to me, it made all the sense in the world to put him back in center field. A couple weeks ago, Boone says that's not the case. He's going to play left. Well, here was Cashman on the topic of that.
I think it's still all open in the air. I know Boone's addressed that. I think his preference is definitely left, and we'll see how it all shakes out. And I don't disagree. The primary position that clearly Jasson Dominguez is used to playing is center, and I wouldn't rule out. Again, if he doesn't handle left, then we'd have to look at center. It just the difference now is we're going to have a nice runway of 6 weeks to kind of take a look and inventory that as it plays out, and how he looks and stands up defensively and mostly in the sun of Florida, which is the hardest to play under, regardless whether it's left, center, or right. In Jasson's case, he's going to have to earn becoming a starter here, just because we hope that that lane is there for him. We hope he takes it. Doesn't mean he's going to. He's going to have to earn it.
Now, real quick on that last part, I do like that out of Cashman, which is like kind of standard protocol speak to say, like motivate the guy a little bit. But let's assume for a second that's the actual case, that Jasson has to earn the job, and he better, because if not, I don't know who the F's playing left field. I'm trying to work on my cursing, by the way. Can you guys notice? Sometimes I watch these things back and I'll be like, was the F-bomb there necessary? So for those who are not a fan of that, trust me, there's points where I agree with you. But anyways, Dominguez has to earn the job. Let's be honest, though, he will. I do like hearing that out of Cashman. Now, as for what he said in the beginning and what we alluded to with the whole, left field, center field thing, the way I see that is it's by no means a foregone conclusion that Dominguez is going to play left field. Now, he mentioned spring training, and he's going to get looks in left, and we'll hear from more of Cashman, and he'll talk about Boone and how it is his final say. What Boone wants is what's going to go. And I do believe that. I've felt that way for a couple years now, that Boone's not like the puppet a lot of guys or a lot of fans have made him out to be. Now, that was more of an older narrative, like 2018, 2019, 2020 days. But I do truly believe, and we'll hear about it with leadoff, it's Boone's decision. Now, if Boone's decision is to play him in left field, that's pretty fucking stupid, Chad, if we're being honest, in my opinion. But, I like to hear that. I like hearing that. And this is just the start of what, again, was a substantial interview out of Cashman where he gives us some information while in a wishy-washy way that kind of makes us at least be able to believe, like, all right, maybe left field is not definitive after all. So, first clip played, it's a W. It's a W. We're 1 for 1, Cashman. Good shit on that. So, moving on to the next one. This is about leadoff. And by the way, obviously, because I'm sure you guys have heard about what came out of this, we're going to get to the Jazz and Gleyber stuff in a little bit. We're going to play the leadoff clip, and then the Jazz and Gleyber stuff's coming like 5 minutes later. But here's because of course we've talked about it a lot, and it's a pretty important topic of discussion, who's going to lead off for the Yankees in 2025. Now, Boone, again, on that interview with WFAN a couple weeks back with BT and Sal, he mentioned that he was considering Jasson and considering Jazz for the leadoff spot. Now, I don't want to recap my thoughts every time I come on these streams. For any new viewers out here, I'm not some pessimist at all. I'm borderline delusionally optimistic. And I still kind of am with this team. I'm getting the fucking itch, chat. Heard the birds chirping this morning, the sun was shining. But no, leadoff is a serious, serious problem. Now, maybe it won't be, because if Jasson flourishes and say has a good spring, I think he might be my top candidate. But what can you bank out of a rookie, especially? I mean, forget what he's projected to be and who Jasson Dominguez, the prospect we know he is. A World Series team, a team that got embarrassed in the World Series, looking to get back and win the whole damn thing. I mean, you wouldn't see the Dodgers running out Jasson Dominguez leading off. And that goes for the other options. Volpe, Jazz. I've discussed this at length. You can find past podcasts. But anyways, here's Cashman on leadoff.
Obviously, Aaron Boone, in the end of the day, it's his decision to make on what he wants to do. I know he's told me what he's leaning to. I don't know. I don't necessarily read the papers, so I don't know if he's publicly revealed what he's leaning towards. But I know what he's leaning towards, and I think obviously if he hasn't revealed it publicly, I don't want to say it, but I know we'll take advantage of the spring and see how it looks.
Again, for any new viewers, I'm not one of those fans that, like Brian Cashman could say, I'm donating $1 million to the Make-A-Wish Foundation. Oh, he's a fucking asshole. Like, no, I play it fair. Bro, tell us who's leading off. Like, this is the shit I don't understand. Now, again, the candidates that Boone mentioned, Volpe, Jazz, Jasson. My top guy right now is Jasson. And I still don't feel great about that at all. Just tell us who's leading off. And I get the perspective, a couple comments when I posted these clips on Yankees Ave Instagram last night. Some were saying, like, oh, maybe he's playing it close to the vest because the guy who's leading off isn't on the team. And I get the sentiment of that. Some things you got to play close to the vest. That's not what's happening here. Boone is not leaning towards some guy that's not currently on the team. Like, I'm penciling him at leadoff as of now. No. Just tell us who's leading off. It's either Volpe, Jazz, or Jasson. The only thing I can maybe see is if Jasson is who Boone's leading towards and he doesn't want to put it out there because he, like Cashman said, has to earn the job. If that's the case, then maybe I could understand. But damn, bro, just the principle of it. And again, something we've talked about a lot. I'm not a fan of the Tampa Bay Rays, and I wouldn't want to be. I wouldn't want to be a fan of any other team. I wouldn't want to be a fan of the Los Angeles Dodgers. But I will say there is something that comes with being a fan of the New York Yankees, and at the very least, it's you should know who the hell's leading off for you come opening day. And currently we don't. And that's, that's a little bit ridiculous. So was 1 for 1 before. I'd say he's 1 for 2 now. Just tell us who's fucking leading off, bro. And I want to be cool with Cashman. I want to be, me and him were chilling during the World Series. And by chilling, I mean, I retracted a lot of things. Not retracted, but I was like, you guys remember the clip? I was like, yo, what up, Cash? It was right before we were about to clinch. And I want to like Cashman. I don't do the whole, it sounds so silly to say it, irrational thing, because I am irrational. But I'm really not when it comes to slowing shit down, come long term. In game, yes, I tweak. That's where I'm irrational. Long term, though, I do like to see it with the slowed down perspective, and I don't tweak about everything Cashman does. I've said Cash God probably 4 or 5 times in the last 2 or 3 years, chat. So, I'm not being biased here, but, that was a bullshit answer. Tell us who the fuck's leading off. Why do we got to be all weird about this whole thing? Now, with that said, I won't get too up in arms about it, and this applies with everything the Yankees say, whether it's Cashman, the front office in general, and how they handle things. A lot of this will have to do with injuries and their wishy-washy timetables or just not being totally transparent. With that said, the only problem that comes from this is that it's simply just annoying. I want to know who's leading off, but because I don't know, it doesn't change who's leading off. So I'm just pissed I can't give my take right now. And that's a lot of the frustration that comes to the Yankees. And I get it, and this is me complaining right now. It's annoying. But that is all it is annoying. It's fucking February 7th, on a Friday night, I'm just gonna what, Dan? No idea. Sentence didn't have a finish to it. All right, here's Cashman on third base, and then we'll get to Jazz and Gleyber after this. But this is just on the status of third base going into the year.
Third base, obviously, we're going to switch back and forth. I don't know which way we're going between Jazz at third, Jazz at second, Jazz, depending on who's on the mound. Obviously between, Peraza, Cabrera, DJ LeMahieu, Vivas. We're going to have some guys taking some reps, trying to earn a spot, whether it's at second or third. The flexibility that the athleticism of Jazz provides gives us, the ample opportunity to play it out. I'll be comfortable when somebody solidifies that, or whether it's the platoon situation or it's a solo shot.
All right, so same old, and I want to talk about Jazz in a second and the way he spoke about him. But as for third base, same old shit, at least entering every day for the last month and a half. Third base is going to be an internal battle. Now, with that said, I do want to really make it clear that the offseason is not over yet. When I watch back these streams, sometimes I feel like I'm coming off a little bit too pessimistic about the offseason being incomplete when it's, the deadline's not in yet. And the deadline is technically the trade deadline, which I don't even want to get into that because, I get my hopes up every year that I'm going to be satisfied come July 31st, and more often than not, I'm not. The Yankees don't have to fix this problem until, theoretically, Game 1 of the World Series. Obviously, the latest you can actually do something about that would be the deadline. With that said, though, let me talk about Jazz really quick. I can't stand the way he's being discussed with the versatility. And I mean by that, not that Jazz doesn't have versatility. He does. But what are the odds DJ LeMahieu or Oswald Peraza or Oswaldo Cabrera, Yorba Vivas, the guys Cashman mentioned, the guys we know are the internal battle, are your starting third baseman come October 1st? Regardless if you're, a big DJ fan or within the Yankees organization, they would probably even tell you, all right, these guys are in the battle to start opening day and, win a job early on. We don't see them starting on October. And the reason I bring that up is what position do you see yourself needing at the deadline? Or what position is being upgraded next, whether that's tomorrow or 6 months from now? And the answer is, it sounds like third base. And I'm going to play the Jazz Gleyber clip because that's the most interesting part of all this that everybody's talking about, and rightfully so. What I'm getting at here is decide if Jazz is playing second or third base. No, we'll see with Jazz. Jazz has versatility. Jazz was thrown at third base, and I think he did a pretty damn good job in a short time, just being, again, thrown at the position. But if you're talking all about, we'll hear from him later, discuss the improved defense on this team, the best version of Jazz Chisholm defensively, and again, this is coming from somebody who feels great about him at third base, and it sounds like they're leaning more towards second. Give him a position and tell him that's his position. Doesn't mean he never plays third base again, but if he's playing second base, say Jazz is playing second base, and tell Jazz he's playing second base. And that's just for his sake, yo. Like, again, now this isn't a optics thing, though. It's not about, the Yankees just won't tell us who's leading off. It's a thing I get a little bit irritated internally with them because I feel they are truly seeing it this way. We can play Jazz wherever. Which, yes, in a bind, say, you have him at second and a third baseman gets hurt. Yeah, Jazz can play third if you need him to. But, God, give him a position. Give guys a position. Jazz is playing second. Especially because it sounds like that's where he's going. Jazz is going to play second this year, especially, at the very least on opening day. So that's the way I feel on that. Let's move on to, or kind of stick with this. For those who didn't hear, the big part of this whole story was Cashman talking about the fact that he did acquire Jazz to be a second baseman last year. And not that this is new, but more so just confirmed. We heard at the time, it was confirmed. So Cashman, and we'll hear it, wanted Gleyber to play third and got Jazz to play second. Now we remember end of July, right around when they got Jazz, Gleyber said, now there's never video of this. Maybe there was at some point, but if there were, Yankees scrubbed it quickly. Gleyber said, I'm a second baseman. I play second. So that kind of squashed that, at least according to Aaron Boone. Here's Cashman on that.
When I acquired Jazz to be our second baseman and move Gleyber to third. The rest of last year, Booney wanted to do it the other way. He moved Jazz to third after we got him, and Gleyber to second, and kept Gleyber at second because Gleyber didn't want to move to third and was unwilling, so Jazz wanted to get in that side of the position he never had played it well enough, and now gives us a little bit more flexibility entering the 25 year. I don't know how it's going to play out. I do think we can have one of these candidates emerge or multiple guys emerge into a platoon situation at worst or a solo shot at best, and if not, there's always the marketplace to play around with as we move forward.
All right, so the last part and overall vibe, and this is not that telling because Yankees always speak this way, whether they're done or not, is we'll see what happens. We're always looking to improve, all that, That I will classify as kind of, hoopla bullshit. It's just like a saying for them. They could know they're complete, which I don't think they do think that, but let's just say they do. They'll still go out and say, we're always looking to improve. We're evaluating the market. So with that said, they are still looking to improve, but we'll see what happens. As for Gleyber, and there's a lot of questions with this. One, was Cashman calling out Gleyber? Was he dissing him? I'd say 100%, and I don't really have too much of a problem with it. And my gut tells me, just going off of the way I roll, and I'm a Gleyber Torres fan, and you guys know the way this offseason's continued to go on without getting another infield bat, the more and more I see, I wish we brought Gleyber back for 1 year, $15 million. I'm a Gleyber Torres, not obsessor defender or nothing, but I'm a supporter of Gleyber Torres, especially the way he finished the year, and he, for the most part, always hit in the playoffs. I'm not on Gleyber's side here really at all, and the only reason I even feel like I need to not need to take a stance. I want to take a stance, but if I'm going to take a stance, it's because of this. This has kind of become a thing, and I wish I had the tweet ready, but Gleyber, I'm not going to read it directly. I know what it was. You guys can check it out on his Twitter, but Gleyber, quickly after this interview came out, tweeted out something along the likes of, "You're still talking about this, ? Really? Turn the page." And you put the calendar emoji. So Gleyber commented on it because Cashman did diss him. But the diss was valid. and we'll talk about the Boone side of things in a moment, but Gleyber, now that we know for sure, and by for sure I'm saying, like, when he said I'm a second baseman, I play second base, I can not take that with a grain of salt, but at least, like, not fully make an opinion on it just yet, because for all I know, the way it was presented to Gleyber, this is my thought at the time, was, hey, we got Jazz, he can play third or second, are you down to go to third, or would you rather stay at second, whatever it is, and he just said, oh, no, I mean, I'd rather stay at second, I'm a second baseman, and then when he's asked about it from the reporters, he reiterates that, I'm a second baseman. Now, again, we didn't have video of when he said that. I remember I was scouring everybody was. Me, talking Yanks, everybody was trying to find the video when Gleyber said that, just kind of get the tone of it. But we clearly know now, and by the way, Cashman, which I don't have a problem with it really, because that would piss me off too as a GM, to be honest. I fully believe that, Gleyber was supposed to go to third. That was Cashman's plan. He got Jazz to play second, and Gleyber just wouldn't do that. Now, the issue I have with this is not to do anything with Jazz. Again, I think his defense was quite good at third base, and the metrics back that up, +7 outs above average at third. I think Gleyber would fare way better at third base rather than second base. I mean, that's kind of a no-brainer. The whole middle infield thing, much more so at shortstop, but second base included too. There's a lot to do with second base. I think he's way suited better off of just letting the talent ride. I talked about this with Jazz, why I feel fine about him at third. Third base is very much a talent position, which is a casual take and something that's like obvious to say, but just in terms of reaction, the arm's fine. Gleyber would have been more than okay at third base. But that's not the point of this whole thing. Let's just get into what Cashman said. And I want to talk about the Boone side of things. A lot of people are giving Boone shit that he took Gleyber's opinion into account and didn't just move him to third base. I don't think that's that crazy. What's crazy is Gleyber saying, I'm a second baseman, because damn well he would have been able to play third, and he should have been willing to play third. And if he was, he probably does pretty okay there. Better than defensively he was at second base. So if I'm Boone, it's not more so a matter of, let me be a tough guy and, prove my authority here and say, no, you're playing third. I told you to play third. It's, this guy's not committed to do what the team is asking him. And that is disappointing to hear, bro. Like, it is. Now, at this point, obviously, I don't give that much of a shit because Gleyber's, of course, on the Tigers. But the only LIC taken here is Gleyber, and then you could say maybe they should have asked him ahead of acquiring Jazz. But I can't even say that truthfully because I'm glad we acquired Jazz. That was, and I've said this before, I don't want to say lucky. Cashman's not lucky he acquired Jazz because that was a good move. And I guess I'm complimenting here when I was saying this. Jazz saved the 24 deadline so hard. And again, I'm saying this in a complimentary way. Let me pull up Jazz's page one more time, show some video. The same video you guys have seen probably 3 times by now. The acquisition of Jazz Chisholm was, I won't call it big time, but it's going to end up big time. Jazz has a freaking crap ton of talent. Frick didn't do the proper justice there in what I'm trying to emote. Jazz can be a dog. And I think his floor is what we're seeing right here for what he put up last year. 760 OPS, 24 homers, 40 stolen bases, which is pretty insane, by the way. But there's a ceiling here that has always been discussed as a breakout player. What do we mention the moment he left Miami? And we're going to get to more about the Cashman stuff with this. I'm going to bring it all to a, drive it home in a moment. But just to talk about Jazz. We always heard about Jazz, get him out of Miami. And the more you think about that, whether it's just from a, casual perspective, Miami's not that, baseball focused. They definitely didn't have a mature team, a veteran team, playoff experienced team outside of the quick shit they had last year, whatever, in 2020, whatever it was, 2023 as well. The idea of Jazz's talent on the New York Yankees is fascinating to me. And we saw it last year. The power he put up in pinstripes extrapolates to a 35-homer season over a full year. I'm very excited for what Jazz is going to be this year. So, with that said, again, Cashman didn't get lucky that Jazz saved the deadline because he made the move. And it was a great deal. Even in terms of value back to Miami, it was a great deal. So with that said, like, there's nobody I can really be upset about with this clip, this quote from Cashman, other than Gleyber Torres. Because I would have gotten Jazz too. Even if they had this conversation ahead of time, which I don't think they did, about Gleyber playing third. You can get Jazz Chisholm for the value that the Yankees got him back, or sent back to Miami in return for Jazz. You make that deal 10 out of 10 times. So I'm fully on Cashman's side here again. Not trying to be fair, but just making sure I'm fair. I'm glad we have Jazz. And to be honest, well, I know they won't do it now, but I did in my franchise mode. I extended the motherfucker to 7 years at a good AAV, but, I'll pull Cashman. I won't get into the details of it because I'm not sure my manager told the papers just yet. Anyways, let's move on here. Couple more. We have 3 more sound bites or 4 more sound bites. And by the way, before we get into the next one, again, appreciate you guys being here in the live chat. For those who do watch on replay, actually, I can't really even tell a definitive date because, again, we're changing up, more so just because the offseason's coming to an end. Again, pitchers and catchers for next week, but it's not going to be Tuesday nights at 7 p.m. anymore as of this show. So I'm thinking, again, like Monday or Wednesday, we'll figure it out. Check the community post. I'll let you guys know in the Yankees Have story. But anyways, appreciate you guys in the live chat. Appreciate all you guys watching later on replay. If you could do me one favor, only if you enjoy the video, drop a like, and obviously, subscribe if you're new and all that. And we'll talk a little more 2025 season plans in terms of like content and whatnot. Content. I hate the word content because it sounds so performative and it sounds very like I'm not doing content now. I'm just talking fucking, Yankees baseball. You know what I'm saying? I know you guys know what I'm saying. But all right, let's move on to the next one. Again, 4 more sound bites to get through here. And this is on, so Cashman was asked, what do you think the team's biggest strength is this year? And he discusses the bullpen, and that's not what I'm giving away. I don't want to give the whole context, but what's interesting is Cashman kind of talks about how 2024, he didn't have a bullpen that he didn't like the 2024 bullpen.
Last year was the first year that even though our bullpen performed, it wasn't maybe as good a bullpen as I was used to having personally. And, it's on paper right now, but I think we've addressed a lot of areas in the pen so far, especially where the strikeouts are coming. We can bring guys in that can strike people out, whether it's the Devin Williams or obviously a Fernando Cruz or, we got Johnny Loizaga coming back at some point, obviously, when he finishes off his rehab. That's exciting. A full year of Mark Wagner maybe. He brings a lot of strikeouts. So ultimately, and I'm sure I'm missing somebody, but at the end of the day, I think that the strikeouts in the bullpen, along with Max Fried to the rotation, pitching was already a strength last year, and I think it will remain to be.
All right, so I found that clip interesting for a couple of reasons. One, well, first, we're not going to get into the whole the bullpen is insane conversation again, because it is, and anything I mentioned about it would just be redundant. The bullpen is, and the pitching staff as a whole, is why you should still be very excited about the 2025 season, despite the complaints I do actively have. 2 things that are interesting there. One, on the top of what he said first about how he didn't really love the 2024 bullpen, or what did he mention? He mentioned my bullpen, and I like that. That's how I would talk to as a GM. You know why? And it was because there really wasn't many strikeouts. And again, don't want to say lucky, don't want to say thank God, because this is part of what the Yankees do. What I always say is the one area you give them credit on is their ability to build a bullpen. But guys like Jake Cousins, or really just guys like Jake Cousins and Tim Hill, who's of course back on a 1-year, $3 million deal, or club option for 2026. The emergence of those guys, and especially Cousins, because we're talking about strikeouts here, was huge. Now, they have guys they know they're getting strikeouts out of. And they'll still be those under-the-radar scrap heap guys that they'll pull out of nowhere and turn into, 11 Ks for 9. That was kind of cool in a way. That's just my point from Cashman here. That, the bullpen obviously has been a big thing. And, that obviously, I think I've said that now twice, the OBV word. But, it adds up. The Yankees in 2024 were significantly less capable of strikeouts than previous Brian Cashman bullpens, at least obviously in the Judge era. Said it a 4th time. Foul. The second part, and more interesting part, notice the way he phrased when he was going through the guys about who's part of the bullpen when gassing it up. He mentioned Mark Leiter and he goes, Mark Leiter, maybe, or maybe Mark Leiter, whichever way he said it. That's interesting. That's interesting. And, it doesn't take a rocket science to figure out why. We discussed last week or a few days ago when the Yankees re-signed Tim Hill. And I'm not even for this, but if there were to be a guy I'm not against moving, somebody like Mark Leiter or maybe Ian Hamilton. We discussed the fact that the Yankees bullpen is obviously insane, and not just the main guys or the guys that are even projected to be on the 26-man roster. The depth is fantastic. They are able to trade one of these dudes if they wanted to. Now, I think they should only do that if there's a deal that obviously makes the team better, and it's a no-brainer. Get you an infield bat back. Don't just trade these guys or trade them. But he mentioned Mark Leiter Jr. and threw the word maybe after when talking about the 2025 roster. Could he be a guy that gets dealt? Now remember, they're going into arbitration, at least as of right now, unless I'm totally out of the loop. But I'm 99% positive they still have not agreed to a deal for 2025. Now, that's not a big deal. It's not like gigantic. They'll figure it out. They'll come to terms, whether that's before arbitration or at the very least. I mean, he's under control. Mark Leiter is a New York Yankee as of now. But forget Leiter for a second. Just the way Cashman's talking, it definitely seems possible a reliever does get traded, at least before opening day or at some point. So that was interesting. Keep your eyes peeled towards that. A couple more. Let's hear. Let's see. I mean, I got a bunch. I probably won't play them all, but let's. For those interested in the updated market of Marcus Stroman, Cashman discusses him and the free agent market still being quite big. That teams aren't going to come calling for Marcus Stroman until the free agent pitchers that are still available starting pitching wise are off the table. So. We don't even got to play this soundbite. That's pretty much what it was. It was just going over what we already knew, that it likely won't be until maybe March that Stroman gets dealt. And my big thing is, and shout out to the Yankees, they didn't let this get in the way of Tim Hill. Don't congratulate a fish on swimming, but they didn't let that get in the way of re-signing Tim Hill. Or why the fuck did I just bring up Brandon Lau? That was an accident. Now that's not saying much. That's a $3 million deal, but. Well, I think Stroman's getting traded. It won't be for a little bit. Don't let him get in the way of you making moves that you think make this team better. And I think that it's quite obvious, goes without saying. Let's hear Cashman on the backup catcher situation.
It was a tough decision to make to trade Trevi. Very, it's extremely hard worker, really capable, plug and play guy, ready to go. He's a free agent at the end of the year. And once Austin Wells kind of emerged and took the starter's role. And if somebody rang my bell a little bit, and compelled me, I would consider, because we have a lot of good catching depth that we're excited about. I'm comfortable that we have some guys that, with some growing pains, could be really good for us, and could be really good for us right out of the gate. So we're gonna have to wait and see how it plays out. But I felt like with the 6 months left on Trevi, prior to free agency, and him being now relegated to the backup role, and the opportunity to bring up Fernando Cruz in here, who's got one of the most lethal strike out pitches in the game.
All right, so Yankees are looking for a backup catcher. That's what you get out of that. No freaking brainer. For those who don't yet understand Cashman speak, how it works is if he even suggests he's any bit open to adding somebody externally, and I'm talking specifically here, not just about the gung-ho crap of we're always looking to improve the team. If he's talking usually specifically about a position and mentions they're open to upgrading at the position, which, reminder, he didn't do this for third base, which is fucking absurd. It's upsetting. They're looking for a backup catcher. And furthermore to that, when he mentions at the end of the statement but we are comfortable with our internal depth, and we look forward to the competition. There's some guys who could play the role, and we can get by with what we have. My guess is from this, and before this, but more so now, the Yankees will have a backup catcher before opening day. And maybe even before spring training, because the only guy they got they might have two. Is it Carlos Estevez? Or not Estevez. I'm thinking of. Well, shit, if I'm going to think about it so hard and look like a goddamn idiot live on air, why don't I just pull up the Yankees 40-man roster and find out for sure? I'm going to mention Alex Jackson. That's one of the guys, or the guy they got in addition to the main piece, Fernando Cruz, in the Jose Trevino deal. All right. So they have Alex Jackson. He was acquired from the Reds in the Trevino deal. He can't hit. His defense is apparently good. You hear that about almost every catcher. And if the Yankees consider a guy for a backup catcher spot, they're going to be good defensively. On the 40-man right now, which is full, by the way, because they picked up a couple more guys on waivers, and they're going to have to DFA one of them because Tim Hill's not even on the 40-man spot, on the 40-man roster. So, be ready for the 40-man to be very fluid, as, it always is. But they have J.C. Esquera and Jesus Rodriguez. I believe, I don't want to get into this too much right now. Rodriguez is a young catcher, 22 years old, that has hit pretty well in the minor leagues. He's not going to be in contention to make the deal. I'm just throwing out words now. He's not going to be in contention to break camp. J.C. Esquera, he is. I would say as of right now, definitively, it's obviously Austin Wells starting, and the backup job will be a camp competition between Alex Jackson, catcher who can hit, acquired in the Reds deal, between J.C. Esquera, 29 years old, but the Yankees love him a lot. I think his defense, I assume so, going off of the fact that they do really value him, or relatively speaking, kind of the same way they did Caleb Durham, where internal guy that's not awful, that can maybe for a moment take up a major league roster spot. On that scale, they like him a lot. He's in contention for the backup job. Again, don't want to spend too much time on this, but, this shit does matter, yo. And Cashman may have been just being nice, but I'm pleased that they moved on. Get off Brandon Lowe, for Christ's fucking sake. I want Fernando Cruz. Thank you. Despite the way Cashman talked, and nothing against the player, great Yankee, good Yankee. He wanted to be here, and nothing against the way he worked. But losing Trevino is not that much of a loss. It really, really isn't. The framing, great. He had no arm, though, and it was a liability. So with that said, it's not the end of the world losing him, but also, you do got to get a backup catcher that's not incompetent. Not so much at the plate, but get a legitimate backup catcher. And I don't have much worry about that. They'll be able to. More on the Reds trade. Fernando Cruz is a dog, and we've talked about him a lot, so we won't do it so much here, but just want to really emphasize that was a W of a move by Cashman. And a lot of the deals this winter have been of that ilk. W's. Really, every move they've made individually is a W. We'll see about Goldschmidt depending on the way the rest of the roster plays out. Again, was hyped about him at the time. Still am to a degree, but when I take a look at the Yankees lineup, it's hard to, get that excited or, be cool with Goldschmidt batting 6 when DJ LeMahieu follows 2 batters later at 8, which I want to mention on that really quick about DJ. And then we'll get back to, we have 2 more Cashman sound bites. But on the topic of DJ, not Luke Weaver, somebody mentioned in the comments last time out, I'll try to shout you out later. And speaking of shout out my guy Morgan, by the way, who's always making sure sound is all good. And also let me know that Gleyber just deleted his tweet on Twitter about Cashman. So I don't know. Maybe he cooled down, or who at this point, who really cares? But shout out my guy Morgan, moderating as always. He's a fucking beast. With DJ, somebody mentioned how they'll likely do a platoon, DJ against lefties playing third, Oswaldo versus righties playing third. I don't think you're wrong. And does that make you feel any bit better about the lineup? No, it doesn't. Because when I talk about DJ LeMahieu, he's like the ceiling of the shit show that is third base right now for us. Oswaldo Cabrera only lessens that shit show really because not that I don't like DJ. I love DJ, actually. A lot of guys, a lot of fans, younger fans, forget about prime DJ. But the only reason I would feel better about Oswaldo Cabrera is because he's homegrown and smiles a good amount. And that's being facetious. Let's not fucking fool ourselves. Oswaldo Cabrera has been a career below 700 OPS in the big leagues. Was never a big-time top prospect. Now, with that said, he did have some good years in the minors, for sure. But I'm telling you, man, there's no world outside of just... And I'm not against this. I'm all about it. Again, birds were fucking chirping this morning, bro. Sun was shining. I get the whole spring fever thing. Bounce backs can happen. Breakouts can happen. And they will. They will. There's guys in this lineup that will underperform what we're hoping for. And there's guys that will exceed, possibly greatly exceed our expectations this year. But outside of any, spring fever, I don't want to call it delusion because, again, like that sounds insulting. I'm all about this shit, yo. All about this shit when it comes to having hope. But that's kind of all there is. Otherwise, you're getting this 650 OPS from DJ LeMahieu. I honestly fucking pray to the heavens that maybe we get that. Same with Oswaldo, which is nothing against these guys, and I don't get into that whole spiel. I love these players, man, but I have a take that might make them think otherwise. Who gives a shit? Is DJ LeMahieu watching? If you are, big fan, pal. Kind of washed. But yeah, let's move on. Two more here. And then, by the way, we are going to talk a little bit about Nolan Arenado, which don't want to get anybody's hopes up. I'll just tell you what the news is right now. I'll show you even the graphic really quick. The Cardinals re-engaged the Yankees and Boston and LA on Nolan Arenado. That means they've reached out to us. We're going to talk about that. They've reached out to us again. We're going to talk about that after these last two sound bites, and then we'll kick it with the chat for a little bit. And yeah, but no, let's play. Actually, last soundbite. This will kind of put a bow on everything. Michael K, fucking dog, asking the tough questions. Sorry, I'm getting a little indigestion. Hopefully I'm not having a heart attack. Live on air. That would be something. And one of you guys would have to call 911. Morgan, if I fucking start showing some signs of, I don't know, I start mentioning I smell some burnt toast and my left arm's feeling funky, call 911. Just kidding. We're chilling, yo. Here's Cashman on if he's happy with the team.
Are you happy with this team going into the season?
You can never say I'm excited about what we put together. I think listen, we're more athletic. I feel like we've upgraded in a lot of areas that needed to be tended to. I think we had a great team last year, but again, it was an imperfect team at the same time. And as we try to, bang out the rough edges, I feel like we were able to do that in some cases. And looking forward to seeing, hopefully a 2025 version of the Yankees that a little bit more athletic, a little bit better defensively, that can really still pitch. We've brought a bunch of strikeouts into that bullpen. And added the obviously important starting pitcher in Max Fried to the rotation. So there's a lot of areas that I think we've been able to address. So I'm excited to see what it looks like and if it plays the way we hope.
Yeah, so I'd say a good 65, 70% of that is bullshit. And by bullshit, I mean just fluff. What is he going to say? Now, we bring up the offseason editions so far, and again, I won't try to regurgitate most of what I said, but for the new viewers out here, what the Yankees have done with the context that they lost Juan Soto, the rebuilding of the Yankees post Juan Soto offseason wise, the moves they've made, W. 2 months ago, right after they signed Goldschmidt, I was like, we're pacing for an A. Now, I said at the time, if this ends right now, I think I said C+, but I've made it very vocal. That was a little dramatic. We're at a B- right now. And until they get an infield bat, it's an A. And Cashman knows that. Because if not, you don't have to go with those token lines about, we'll see how it plays out. And kind of over-discussing the moves individually that he made. Not individually, but with the pitching staff. And not over-discussing in the sense of he's wrong. He's not. But anytime I talk about the Yankees rotation being the best in baseball, by no means am I taking that for granted, and same goes for the pitching staff as a whole with the bullpen, all that. That is awesome. And the team has changed. They don't have to replicate what they did last year with Juan Soto, although for all we know, maybe they will. Generally speaking. But forget all that. Let's say they don't, and you shouldn't assume they do. The rotation in the bullpen has changed the landscape of this team. They're a pitching-focused team. And the pitching is tremendous. Tremendous. But unless there's a rebuild that is spoken out loud to be the case, there should never be a time where I come on here, or any Yankee podcaster comes on here, or a Yankee fan looks at the roster entering the season, because injuries happen, shit goes down, I understand. But entering a season and saying, oh, word, 2/3 of the major facets of our team are really good. And obviously you can go a step further and say, all right, 2/3 of the team are really good, and they are. Rotation, bullpen. And that I mean. That is fucking awesome. But to say the same shit I've been saying, that doesn't give you excuse to run out a lineup that looks like this. And when I say a lineup looks like this, I'm talking about DJ LeMahieu. I'm talking about Oswaldo Cabrera. I'm talking about Oswald Peraza as well. Like, the way I see it, if you're the New York Yankees, you don't have to over-justify how great your pitching staff is, which it is. Or you shouldn't have to, because you should be able to talk about the lineup just as much. And I don't know if it was in that clip, there were other clips when he talks about how deep the lineup is and like the balance, blah, 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 which is not totally wrong, but it's exaggerated, and it's exaggerated for a reason, and that's because Brian Cashman at this very moment knows his lineup is lacking. Doesn't mean it's awful, doesn't mean it's bad, doesn't mean it's not good. It is good. It is good. And I'm not just saying that because of the projected WRC pluses. And the reason I bring that up is DJ's projected to have a 97, which is just not going to happen. And maybe it does. No, fuck, no, I ain't doing that. I ain't fucking doing that. But there's a lot of upside here. A lot of upside. But that upside can be killed quite quickly if, God forbid, knock on wood, I won't even mention Judge. But let's just go off of who you know is going to go down for a month. And I always say, God bless him. Take your month, bro. I fucking love you. I would take a bullet for this motherfucker. When Stanton goes down for a month, what does the lineup look like? Now, some of you know how I feel. It better look like Ben Rice is installed in there. And he's taking over the DH spot for Stanton, given, the Judge 2 or 3 days a week will hold DH. But I'm not saying that in a positive tone, because while I'm the biggest Ben Rice guy in the world, don't want to keep comparing to the Dodgers, but like, is this what the Dodgers would do? Stanton goes down. Who's playing? Ben Rice. A guy who was never a ranked pro. And this may sound weird because I'm a big Ben Rice guy. I am. But this is not how championship teams operate. And again, Ha-Seong Kim. I don't care for Ha-Seong Kim. I don't care for fucking most of the freedoms that exist out there. But and just take him as a general example, surface level type thing, a player that would improve the Yankees roster. There have been players out there this offseason that would improve the Yankees roster that they're not willing to sign because of the luxury tax or because they want to give the young guys a chance, which again, I don't want to keep picking on him. It sounds like I am because I fucking love the guy. I really, really do. But as Oswaldo Cabrera, dude, like, what do you expect to get out of him? And maybe their plan is, and I have to think it is, their plan for third base and just the team in general, but their plan is, the deadline, or they know they have the deadline. I don't want to say it's their plan, but they know they have the deadline. I've had this conversation before. Like, I've kind of done this dance before. You know what I'm saying? Like, very rarely am I coming out of July 31st feeling satisfied with the Yankees' year as an off-season plus deadline worth of acquisitions. So, I'll tell you, for the first time in my Yankee life, I'm riding on some false hope about third base. Which the people who call me a fucking shill, wow, hot take, bro, yeah, I am. Like, that may sound crazy, but it's always truly valid. Like, in the years past, let's just say on DJ, I've believed in the DJ bounce back. Like, last year, for those who are in the watch party, I'm sure most of you guys that are in here in a February stream were there for the watch parties. I was pumped about DJ's return. I remember saying, yo, like, give me a 340 OBP out of the 9 slot. We're fucking chilling. And, of course, he ended up being awful. Awful. And a big part of that, the whole thing is his injury history, really. I mean, don't think this is something post-juice ball. Now, of course, that played a role in his regression. But I want to remind everybody, 2022, we can go as far into August. He got hurt, I believe, if I remember the date exactly, It was August 6, 2022, where he hurt his foot, fouled the ball off his foot in Boston. At that moment, before he hurt his foot, and that's, of course, where it all turned to shit, really his career in general especially, DJ was a 140 WRC plus bat. In 2022, August of 2022, OBP near 400, was hitting ahead of Judge. He was good. Legitimately really, really good. And then fouls the ball off his foot. 2023. I don't even remember what 2023 was, to be honest, but I know he only played. He definitely had an IL stint or two. And, of course, last year, slipped my mind if it was correlated or not, but he's always had foot stuff. Misses opening day out until, mid-May, late May, early June, and doesn't hit. Fuck, my memory's slipping me, bro. Maybe I'm getting old, but I feel like there was another IL stint or just constant foot stuff. Regardless, he didn't hit. You guys see the stats. Negative WAR was absolutely brutal. I know not everybody's into the whole, not that I want to call WRC plus a metric, but for those who aren't aware of it, league average is 100. So, when I always pull up this projected lineup or anything I use, we'll always usually have WRC plus. These are projected WRC plus. And Judge, by the way, last year was, above 200. That means he was 100% better than a league average hitter. And a league average hitter, of course, is 100. DJ, man, now this is taking forever to make this point, but you guys know the deal. 52. He was awful. He was 48% worse than a league average hitter last year. He was terrible. So, trust me, it's not a matter of post-juice ball, DJ hasn't been the same guy. No, it's the injuries. He's 36 years old. What are we doing? I don't even know if that was my main point, but now I remember what it was. Just because the pitching staff is great doesn't give you a get-out-of-jail-free card in the lineup, which shouldn't be awful, but it's certainly not one that represents a team that just got embarrassed coming off a World Series appearance. And I don't want to say World Series appearance. That makes it sound like I'm happy about it. I'm not. You lost. But, that's it for Cashman's interview. And, again, that was from Yankees Hot Stove last night, which, for the sake of information, substance, actually getting answers, was pretty decent. Besides the leadoff thing. That drives me insane. Just tell us who's fucking leading off, bro. But, we're going to wrap up here with a little talk on Nolan Arenado. Again, I want to say I appreciate you guys tuning in, whether live or on the replay. But really quick on this with Nolan Arenado. So, again, came out 2 days ago, and this is nothing crazy. Don't get your hopes up. Just something to keep your eyes peeled to. The Cardinals they're trying hard to trade Nolan Arenado, and that much has been clear for quite a bit now. It seemed like he was not going to Boston, but if there were a favorite, it definitely was the Red Sox. Well, as of this week, a couple days ago, they re-engaged with all three teams. And by all three teams, I'm referring to the teams that they talked to earlier in the offseason, at least had conversations with. And the Yankees, of course, were one of them. And with that said, it kind of reopens the conversation of well, first, let me say this. We have no idea what this means in terms of the Yankees' interest. And Andy Martino, SNY beat reporter, who's pretty credible at this point, he says the Yankees haven't really been all that interested in Arenado all offseason, and he doesn't see that changing. I feel similar, and he knows more than me, of course. I'll tell you, though, seeing that notification last night that, they reached out to us, it got me I would want Arenado. I would take anybody at this rate. So if, the notification went off on my phone that, word, Yankees getting Nolan Arenado, despite the contract being ass, if I found out they were in on him and they believed in Nolan Arenado to make their team better, which he obviously would, in this case he would play third, Jazz goes to second, no-brainer, I would be hyped. So going back to the whole vibe of the last 2 months, none of this is perfect. I'll take really anybody. With that said, in that vibe, Nolan Arenado all of a sudden may be at the top of the list. It's not going to happen. Don't get your hopes up again. The Cardinals just reached out to us. But I'd be hyped if the Yankees got Nolan Arenado. I would be. So maybe we hear some more on that. Again, only reason I bring that up is just because something to keep your eyes peeled to. But it's kind of waiting game, which is getting more and more interesting now, chat, as we wrap up here. Because again, pitchers and catchers for next week. We're in this now. We're in this. And the reason we're, my Surfside's showing on camera. I think I already told you guys. I cracked open a couple Surfsides. It's Friday, yo. It's Friday. What country we live in? What country we live in, Chad? I can have a fucking Surfside on a Friday night and talk ball. But no, speaking of that, like, I had the vibe today, and I was like, yo, I want to talk Yankee baseball. And it's still so funny. Me and Max Manis and BBD talk about it all the time, like, over the last few days since Tim Hill signed. It's crazy how a little lefty reliever signing can get the juices flowing again. But between that, season's starting soon with, spring training, and, opening day's next month. We're there. We're there. And I say that at a hype, because I can't wait, but I also say it to the Yankees. Unless, we're getting the ball rolling soon before opening day, it is the trade deadline as our next best bet to improve this team, which is no problem. I really want to emphasize that now. It's no problem as long as they follow through on that and actually, have the deadline necessary to beat the Dodgers in the World Series. I'm going to pull up the chat. My back's hurting a little bit. Oh, who's calling me on the goddamn cell phone? It's TR number 2. Justin, I'm streaming right now. Pick a number for you? 7. Fuck you. My boy Justin calls me up midstream and asks me to pick a number for him. I say 7, and he goes, I hate you. Back in the day, we used to have community, people that were nice to each other. And I fill that void with you guys, Chad. So speaking of, just kidding, I fucking love Justin. He's my boy. Old coworker at Verizon. Let me pull the chat, and we'll chill with you guys for a good 5-10 minutes, or whatever. Again, shout out my guy Morgan, moderating the chat. You guys really are dope, yo. We got over 100 people here on a Friday night, just kicking it, chilling. I do want to say, for questions, if you guys have something you want me to address, because I'll watch these things back, and I'll see questions like, damn, I should have answered that. Here's where I'm saying, if you don't follow these instructions, not that I'm God by any means, but just if you want me to read them, I ask this, please, write question in all caps, and that will increase your chance of it getting answered. So, if you have something for me to answer, and by answer I mean discuss, because what do I actually know besides, more than you guys? We're all fans here. But ask a question in the live chat, and I will address it. As for, again, the people on replay, drop a comment below, yo. How you feeling about all this with Cashman? And I'll try to get back to you as well. Question, Dan, do you think they would ever trade Spencer Jones at this point? For the right deal, absolutely. That just doesn't exist right now, I don't think. I mean, who would you trade Spencer Jones for? Especially coming off a year where his value decreased. He dropped on prospect rankings, struck out 200 times. Now, you got to preface that, or I guess, what's the past tense for, or word for preface? But he still was a 124 WRC plus bat at AAA. Still has a lot of potential. And he's working with Judge's guy, according to my boy Ryan Cohen, even further back than we assumed from social media, because he's posting clips of them now. I think Cohen said he's been working with Judge's guy, Teacher Man, since the summer or something. And I posted on Yankees Ave. You can find it. It's not that old of a post. He's doing Judge's load now. So the point is, he's changed his swing, still a lot of potential, and even during a down year last year was still quite productive offensively, very athletic. I'll tell you though, you go back and go to Yankees Avenue on Instagram and just look at the thumbnail for Spencer Jones taking BP. You'll recognize it. It's a lefty bat. It literally looks like a mirror image of Judge because he's doing the Judge load. And why is that significant? For those who don't know, Spencer Jones, 2022 first-round pick for the Yankees out of Vanderbilt. He is 6'6", so he's always been kind of coined as the left-handed Aaron Judge. Slightly a casual take, can't roast it. I'm guilty of it myself, but again, coming off a down year, you don't trade guys still that young with a lot of value coming off a down year or a lot of potential, and the fact that he's hitting with Judge's guy, gets me really excited. Really excited. What up, Christian? Christian says, question, Tucker at the deadline. That's been my plan since the Cubs got him. I jokingly put out the tweet, the Yankees probably just get him at the deadline. Still feel that way. Of course, at this point, we're almost at the season. We got to see how it plays out. And the Cubs certainly have had a nice offseason. And I don't want to call them crazy because good on teams who are trying to contend. They're not getting past the Dodgers. With that said, as of right now, they're a playoff contender. So we'll see if they're even willing to shop Tucker at the deadline. But He is a free agent come winter. Next winter. Arenado would be a horrible move. He's washed. DJ and washed. Arenado in 2027 pass. Well, no. I mean, Arenado's certainly not washed. He's certainly not washed. Now, is he what he was in the past? No. Defensively, though, he's pretty close. He's terrific at third base with the glove, and that, of course, would improve us defensively. And then Jazz goes second, which is what I always discussed when talking Jazz's versatility. It allows you to go out and get a second baseman or a third baseman. In this case, if they were to get Arenado, which I doubt it's going to happen, then it's no-brainer. He plays third, Jazz goes to second. Here's what I'll say. Washed in terms of not as good as he used to be, yes. But he's not Donaldson, bro. He's not 37. He's 33, was an above-league average hitter last year. And again, with the defense, that 3.1 WAR, at least I'll tell you over the next 2 years, is most likely the floor. And, I mean, Jazz was good for us, but not counting him. The third base production we've got from the Yankees has been brutal. Nolan Arenado would be an upgrade. But that said, again, I'd take almost anybody at this point, which, when you talk about anybody at this state in the offseason and where we're at, he might be the number one option for us that we can realistically get. But can't emphasize enough, the Yankees have not been that interested, and that kind of sounds like that's the case till this day. Let's take a couple more here. Again, shout out to all you guys in the chat. It says, question, how do you feel about trading for Jose Miranda? Nah, I'm all right. If we were to do a deal with the Twins, I would definitely be interested in Willie Castro. We talked about him last week, though, but switch hitting second baseman. Don't remember how the defense was in terms of looking at his page and if I remember if he was good or bad. But above league average hitter, gets on base a decent clip. He's another guy that's in that tier of I'll take anybody at this rate that's towards the higher end. But that's the move I would make with the Twins. If Stroman stays, I won't be upset. I say he's looking at a 3.5 ERA with good defense behind him. Yeah, so we didn't play the Cashman soundbite. That's something he goes into, and it's kind of just making his sales pitch for why teams should still want him. And he discussed that, and it's true. The defense certainly let him down last year, and with a pitcher that's pitch to contact, ground ball guy, not a good recipe for success. For me personally, just the way I feel about Stroman, that the player, it doesn't need to be said. I was fine with what Stroman was last year, which 4 ERA for the most part till his last start of the year. He was fine. He was a 6-starter, made 30 starts, and more often than not, outside of a bad stretch in the summer, was worthy of a quality start. Stroman, the pitcher, is fine. Stroman's depth, just in itself, is great. He's being paid $18 million, though, so it's no question as to why the Yankees want to move him, and I fully support that. Just my whole thing is, don't let the waiting game on trading Stroman, let you get in the way of making moves you think could improve the team right now. Question, DJ is cooked. We need offense. Is anyone in the minor leagues untouchable? Trade everyone. Glad you mentioned that. I mean, not related in terms of third base, but I'm glad I thought about this because of your question. Thank you. Condom dog. Yankees took an L not signing Yoan Moncada. I think we've talked about him a little bit on these streams, but he just signed with the Angels for $5 million. That was an L not picking him up. I know he's been hurt. I know he's not a perfect player, but he's been linked to the Yankees for a long time. And by that, I mean when he was an international prospect, it was the Yankees and the Red Sox. I remember being a freshman in high school. It was a whole thing. Yoan Moncada. Now, he's had good years, one of which was 2019, juice ball. So if you want to throw that away, fine. 2021, which total opposite, dead ball, dead as hell. He's still really good. 3.5, 4 WAR guy. OBP near 4. I don't want to keep saying near 400, but 375. Moncada's had some success that you can look at and be like, all right, he's capable of doing this again. Played just 12 games last year, I know, but a switch hitter, defense career, solid at third, right around average, and the upside of his bat is kind of up there. At the very least, you assume you're getting a league average hitter out of him. For $5 million, they should have made that move. Don't know why they didn't. So that was pretty disappointing to see. But, how's it going, Noah? And shout out everybody in here. Vinny, we got Nicholas. Hey, Nicholas Termini, how you doing, man? Last name rhymes with Germany. I remember you telling me that. Cash G, yeah, shout out Morgan, my guy, my fucking homie. Big balls from Doge, Christian, Conman Dog talked about you, Vinny. I think I already shouted you out. Cass, all my homies in the chat. Ryan Beck, Raw Dog, all my homies. Appreciate you guys. I think we're going to get out of here, yo. Good-ass time chilling on this Friday night stream. Again, Don't know when the definitive day of the week is going to be going forward. And by going forward, I mean just like the next, I don't know, few weeks, because we're about to be in the season. So stay tuned for that. Check on the community posts for updates. And appreciate you guys so much. See you guys soon. Birds are fucking chirping, Birds are chirping. Sun is out. Not right now, but during the morning time, you kind of get the vibe of, spring is coming. You get like an early little dose of spring fever, which is an awesome feeling, man. That is an awesome feeling. It kind of reminds you, like, just hold tight for a little bit, like your time is fucking coming type shit. Now we're getting all fucking weird on the stream, I'm out of here. Appreciate you guys. Now I feel all weird, because I got all like sentimental and Hallmark Channel type shit. Just kidding. Love you guys. See you guys next time. Let's go, Yanks.